going on, everyone? Welcome to the Drop Dad podcast. I am one half of your hosting team, Troy Green, and with me, as always, my fearless partner that never gets scammed on the internet, Kevin Peterson. Kevin, how's it going today, buddy?
Hey, I just sent a bunch of money to a prince over in Nigeria. Anyway, he said he's going to give me $10,000.
Well, I am anticipating that you're going to get that in the very near future.
My stepmom actually stops a lot of fraud because they do Western Union, and then every now and again she'll get like a lady that comes in and goes, I got to help out my friend. He lives overseas or whatever, and I'm about to send him $8,000. It's my last bit of money. And she's like, stop it.
Yeah.
No.
Jesus. Or those people on like Maury that are like convinced that they're dating like Ricky Martin. But anyway, today we do have a guest on the show. And for the first time ever, this guest is not here in the room. They're across the United States over in Michigan. A good buddy of mine, been one of my best friends for the past 10 years. Mr. Kelsy Beerman. Kelsy, how's it going today, buddy?
Hey, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Well, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I've had fun with this watching it, so it was nice to be asked to be on it. So,
of course, we're glad that you're a loyal listener. So thanks for listening to the show.
Not a problem, my guy.
So you know how the show goes. First thing we got to do is beer of the week. And unfortunately, since Kelsy doesn't live nearby, we weren't able to match beers with him this week. So you brought Miner's Gold.
Mm-hmm.
And Kelsy, do you want to describe your drink of choice?
The Blue Glass. No, it's actually it's Crown Royal and Wild Cherry Pepsi.
That's the Miner's Gold of Michigan.
The Michigan Miner's Gold. Well, the Miner's Gold, so you brought it. Do you want to describe it?
Sure, yeah. It's a great beer. It's probably the most popular beer at the Lewis and Clark Brewing Company, and that's just right here in town. And they have a really great, it's probably my favorite brewery, like, locally that we have that is near us. It's great to just go in there and hang out. They have lots of events, live music and stuff, so go check them out. They're awesome, and this beer is always good. It's really good. They serve it with a slice of orange too at the brewery.
Yep.
So it's awesome.
So funny story about this beer and the Lewis and Clark Brewing Company. That's where my wife and I got married.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I remember that.
We actually got married in the upper room of the Lewis and Clark Brewery.
Yeah, I remember seeing the pictures and being like, I didn't know you could get married in a brewery.
I mean, it's something that we bonded over, craft beers. We both like craft beers. So yeah, it was the cheapest fucking venue in town. A lot cheaper than like a private ranch or something.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. I did one at a private ranch and I was like, how much did you spend? Well, I'm glad I'm not spending anything. I'm just going to enjoy all your delicious food and drink.
For sure.
Kelsy, the only thing I got to say about that is, out of all the people I know, you would be the guy that would get married in a brewery.
Of course I would be that guy. Why would I not be that guy?
Let's say that is totally right up your alley, my guy.
It is. Well, and it's, yeah. I mean, I like beer. You can't fault me for liking beer.
I mean, I have to like beer. I mean, it's literally in my name.
I mean, that's true. Beer true. Man.
Yeah. What else do you like? Do you like other things, obviously, but you're not going to go get married in those things?
I mean, I'd get married in a McDonald's, be a lot fucking cheaper.
I like meth, but I'm not going to get married in a house of...
Watching them going, instead of going down the aisle, you guys are going down the slide and the playland.
That sounds like a fucking magical evening to me.
Like
everybody gets a look up the bride's dress as she comes sliding down.
We all have cardboard crowns on.
Yeah.
Kelsy, I wanted to mention Mackinac Island. That's the sweatshirt you're wearing. I lived in Michigan. Like, I grew up there. I was born there. Mackinac Island's a really cool place.
Dude, I love Mackinac Island.
Yeah. Like, they don't allow cars there, right? They still don't, or do they? Yeah. See,
no cars.
Yeah, you can't have cars there. You have to take a ferry there, and then they have like this lilac festival every year, right? And that's we've gone to that.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Are you a Youper or a troll?
Oh, Youper, eh?
Oh, we got some beef. We got some beef here on the podcast.
Let's get beefy.
Well, I mean, technically, my family originated up in the UP. My dad was born in Marquette.
Oh yeah.
And then they moved down to Muskegon which is right on Lake Michigan for all the logging that was going on. And my grandfather worked in the logging, and they would put logs on boats and whatnot and send them down to Chicago and everything. So
my dad's he's like, he lived there until he was 60 something probably, and then retired and then moved here.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a very heavy accent still, you know.
Oh, that
so
Michigander.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's heavy accent. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool that I didn't know we had that in common. Or maybe I did, and I just forgot it.
So. Yeah, the one thing I like about Mackinac Island is, like I said, you have to take a ferry there, and then it's either horse and buggy or bicycles. That's
you don't have to deal with cars.
Get around the island.
Heavy Amish population around there for the horse and buggies?
Not really. Not in Mackinac Island where I live. Yeah, there's quite a bit, but and actually Mackinac Island used to be a military installation. Used to be a military fort. It used to be Fort Mackinac before that, and now they've turned the fort into. I want to say there's a museum, and then it's like a restaurant and like a hotel now.
Right on. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty. You said you had some beef you wanted to discuss on today's podcast.
Well, so I was watching one of your previous Drop Dads, and first thing I have to say is you guys were talking about the owl bear with the D&D campaigns.
Okay. Yep.
While you're right, but you're wrong.
Okay. Tell me how we're wrong.
You're wrong is in the sense is that Druids can, as long as the game master approves it and it doesn't upset balance to the game.
Did you hear that?
Technically, you're not supposed to, but you can if the GM allows it.
Did you bring your player's guide 5th edition?
Yeah, I'm sure I got the PDF on my phone. I could probably pull that up. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I mean, I found that right off the D&D website, so.
Yeah.
Well, then I think Jess has a bone to pick with you too, because she tried to.
Yeah, and honestly, like everybody always gets away with shit. All they do is they just give me like some beady little eyes, and they're like, "Can I please have this legendary item, please, pretty please?"
We did do that a lot.
And then they would feed me drinks too, and then that I would be like, "Whatever, have whatever you want. I don't care." And then the next time I'm like, "Who gave you that?" They're like, "You did." I'm like, "Fuck off." No, I didn't.
I think you initially gave me a sword that had +2 to the AC, or to like when I was rolling AC, it had +2 to.
That sounds like me.
Yeah. It was just a beefy sword.
Game breaking. No wonder you guys were plowing through everybody. Anyway.
So do you want to be my GM then? Because like the GMs that I've always played with were assholes.
I see. I'm nice, but I've almost killed Troy many times.
You have killed me.
Yeah, and I have killed you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's
you have killed me.
Yeah, I let the dice. The dice do my killing.
On the same token, though, Troy does his very best to try to kill himself in most of those things anyway.
That's 100% true. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't disagree with it. I'm not disagreeing with it.
You're very reckless.
Yeah, you're the Leroy Jenkins of the party.
Oh my god!
No, I'm not. Trent is the Leroy Jenkins of the party. When we were playing D&D,
Trent is the run and hide. Like I'm gonna try to get out of there and survive forever and not run in and make myself. I'm gonna trip everybody and make them die. That's what he's.
I did not ride a Chartolin dragon.
No, but he fought every step of the way to hold on to that thing. He's like, well, Anyway, I digress. But
so you got your beef out about the wild shaping into a owlbear. Was that the only beef you had?
For now, I mean, I'll find out more. Don't worry. I'm sure there'll be more. I hope I do well enough that I'll be asked back. So now I gotta I'm gonna start compiling a list for next time.
Wasn't there a movie that he was yelling at you about that you hadn't seen yet?
Yeah. What was that movie? Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Yeah.
Yeah. What? Classic.
I still haven't seen that either.
Oh my god.
I've seen a lot of it because you just see clips from it, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
I'm with you, Kelsey. I've seen it. It's classic.
Granted, it's such a long movie, but it is so good. It is literally in my top 3.
Is there boobs in it?
No.
That's the only reason I'll watch Titanic for 3.5 hours is because Kate Winslet's topless.
You realize Schindler's List is about the Holocaust, right?
I do.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm aware.
All I gotta say is there was enough room on that door for Jack.
So the Mythbusters did a thing about this, didn't they?
They did that. Yeah.
Did they find out that there was enough room or there wasn't? I don't remember.
I think they said yeah.
Oh,
but I can't remember exactly. It's been a long time since I
just rolled her ass over and he could have got up there.
Yeah.
Well, Kelsy, one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on the show as a father is you have a very unique, to our group, perspective of raising children with medical conditions that are currently not curable.
Yes.
You currently have 4 children, 3 of which are type 2 diabetic.
Type 1 diabetic.
Type 1 diabetic, excuse me.
Yep.
So, if you don't mind sharing a part of your story, like maybe the first time that you found out that one of your kids were diabetic and kind of sharing that story.
Well, that would be with my second oldest. He is now 15. He was officially diagnosed with it at around 18 months, I believe. Started showing signs at around 9 months, but of course, we didn't know what it was. I mean, I was, 23 at the time. So like I'm young, dumb, stupid. I don't know anything about anything. But yeah, like he was like soaking through his diaper, like literally, like it would like be dripping out of his diaper every 15 minutes. Ended up getting this horrible rash. Couldn't figure out why. We take him to the doctor and they're like, oh, it's just a diaper rash. Oh, he's fine. And then, yeah, it just got to the point where I was at work and my wife, she called me and she's like, I don't know what to do. And I said, take him to the hospital. I said, throw a fit. I said, just throw an absolute, just, go ballistic, go crazy. And she ended up getting her mom. They both went to the hospital with him and they finally decided to draw blood. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're 95% sure he's type 1 diabetic. And of course, we don't know what any of that means. So there's a children's hospital about an hour from here. They get a hold of the guy on call. Great person. He was at the time the head pediatric endocrinologist for the state of Michigan. Like he taught everybody in the state about, juvenile diabetes, basically. And so yeah, it was pretty scary. He spent a week and a half in the hospital down there. They said basically the way the doctor put it to us is that it was so bad to the point where that he figured that if he would have went to bed that night, he probably wouldn't have woke up.
Oh wow,
that's
Jesus.
That's scary shit right there.
Like a coma, right?
Yeah, he would have been basically a diabetic coma, and they don't know if they would have been able to get him back because like diabetes, if it's unchecked, it will literally destroy your organs and everything. And so like for his age now, they want us A1C between like 6 and 7. So, and then his at the time when he was first diagnosed was like 12.5.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's like double what it's supposed to be. And basically what happens is when you get to that point, your blood basically turns into like too acidic, and so you're basically just poisoning your body's poisoning itself. And then figuring out why he was going through the diapers all the time, it was because it was his body's way of trying to get rid of it. So yeah, and I think they said his blood sugar was like 940 or something like that.
Jeez.
When for a kid his age, it's supposed to be between 100 and 120, and for a normal adult, it's supposed to be between 80 and 100. So
just to be clear, so I know, type 1 is the type that you get genetically or you're born with it, right? And then type 2 is like you ate too much fudge or something, right? Or am I just off
Yeah, you
wrong?
can. I mean, type 1 is your body doesn't produce insulin. Your pancreas is basically useless.
Oh.
And type 2 is your body produces insulin, but not enough to sustain, your blood sugars. So, I mean, type 2 can be semi-cured based on like your diet, exercise, stuff like that. They have pills that you can take for it and whatnot. But my kids will always be on insulin until either A, they pass away, which hopefully is in about 70, 80 years, or they find a cure. So,
wow.
And so, do you mind if I use your kids' names? Can I say their names, or would you rather me not?
I don't care.
Okay.
My wife might, but I don't. But she don't watch it, so it don't matter.
Okay. So you guys found out Dominic had diabetes at 18 months. Yeah. Then you guys have Gavin. And was it a right away you guys kind of knew kind of deal, or was it kind of a similar story? But at least you knew the signs that you were looking for this time.
He started showing the same kind of symptoms and whatnot. And funny story is, I'd actually moved to Montana when he started showing signs, because they were still in Michigan, which that's a whole other story. But I was in Montana, they were in Michigan. She messaged me and she's like, I think Gavin's starting to show signs. I'm like, okay, we'll take him to the hospital, get his blood drawn, get it figured out. And I felt bad for her because, hold a toddler down to get blood drawn, it's like herding cats. Like, it's damn near impossible. But they're like, okay, well, he's got to have a fasting blood draw. Well, she went in, and of course, his blood sugar levels were fine, no issues. They're like, we'll come back every few weeks and check it. And it was like, I want to say it was like the fourth time that she went back, he finally didn't have normal blood sugars. So it didn't take the 9 months that it took them for Dominic to figure it out. But I mean, we had to go through this whole process because they were testing it, they were doing the blood draws, and his blood sugars and everything were normal. And they did that for like 3-4 times. And then, like I said, he finally started showing symptoms of high blood sugar. So then she ended up having to take him to the children's hospital, and then they went through all the process again. And then he got officially diagnosed right around the same time that Dominic did, in age-wise, but it didn't take as long. So with Dominic, it was literally like a 9 month process that it took us to finally get him diagnosed, because we take him to his pediatrician, and they're like, "Oh, nothing's wrong with him." Oh, nothing's wrong with him, and it's like, no, obviously something's wrong with him, or this wouldn't be happening. Like, this is not normal by any means. So.
And so Gavin was kind of my introduction into diabetes, because ever since I've met Kelsy, Gavin's been Uncle Troy's boy. Gavin loves Uncle Troy, is currently on a program to try and come out and spend some of the summer with Uncle Troy if his behavior and his grades are great. And he probably won't love me talking about that via a podcast, but
I will say on that, though, so far so good.
Yeah. He loves Uncle Troy, man. He'll do a lot for me but so he was my introduction. I had really never been around anybody that had been diabetic before, and meeting Kelsy and going over to their house, Gavin would let me test his sugars. And so I learned how to test sugars. I learned how to give insulin for meals. And it was something that I would do on a regular basis when you lived in Montana.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and that was at first when Dominic was diagnosed, it felt really awkward when we go out in public and he would go out to eat, and then you have to pull out his diabetes kit, test his blood sugar, get the insulin ready, do all this other stuff. And everybody would just stare at you like you're a freak. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, trying to keep my kid alive. Like, But now it's so second nature to us because, like I said, he was a year and a half when he was diagnosed, and he'll be 16 in October or November. That we're just like, it's just second nature to us.
Yeah, so. And those kids are soldiers, man. Like, I've pricked their fingers more times than I can count, and it was like they don't even flinch, and I just look at the needle and I'm like, God damn! Like I don't want that going into my finger. But now with so many advancements, a lot of the technology has changed from when Dominic and Gavin were diagnosed until when Cooper, your youngest, was diagnosed. Yep. And I want to talk about the gap in between between Gavin and Cooper here, and why you decided to have another kid so far apart here in a little bit. But Cooper has been diagnosed. And poor Cooper has also been diagnosed with celiac disease. And again, if you don't want me putting this shit out on the internet, I understand, because it's medical information. But talk to me about the struggles of not only having a toddler that's diabetic, but also has celiac and can't eat gluten, and what that's kind of like for you.
Oh my God, that's a total pain in the ass. Like, I mean, not only do we have to count carbs for the 3 diabetics, but now we have to make sure that the food is gluten-free, and like just trying to find, like, it's not so bad now, but I mean, like from the stories that I heard from people that like 10 years ago or so that were, gluten-free, that is the hardest part. And then just trying to find stuff that's tastes good for him. You know what I mean? Like he's not a super picky eater, but there's things he won't touch. So we have to like buy this gluten-free thing and hope he likes it. And then if he doesn't, then it's like, well, now we've got all this. Now what are we going to do with it? Well, here you go, other kids. I mean, you don't have celiacs, but here, eat it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's tough. Like, it is really tough to try to find everything. And the poor kids got the double whammy. So
I didn't even know about like celiac disease until everybody started eating gluten-free and then there was like a section at the store.
Yeah.
But they can make noodles out of anything nowadays. Like that's gluten-free. That's cool that like
we had gluten-free spaghetti for dinner tonight.
Exactly.
So, and that's one thing that, Kelsy and I have in common is we both have kids with a gluten intolerance. So Jude, my youngest middle child, is also gluten intolerant. So yeah. And I feel bad for the poor kid, but Kelsey's exactly right. Trying to find something that tastes good, like and I think it would be fairly easy for Cooper, who's a little bit younger, who never knew any better, right? Like gluten free is kind of his lifestyle. I feel really bad for Jude, who used to eat gluten and all these things. Granted, it made his stomach upset, but he was able to eat, chicken nuggets and noodles with gluten. And now, like, trying to find things to compensate or things that he feels taste good, it has been a real struggle. But balancing that with counting carbs and managing blood sugars, it just, I mean, Kelsy and I have talked about this at length multiple times, but it's a chore. And I don't think the average Joe really knows what goes into living with a diabetic and how scary it can be just at the flip of a switch. 1 minute their blood sugars are fine and you're monitoring them all the time. And Kelsy, do you care to share your stories about Dominic sneaking food?
I mean, still does. He watches this. I'm looking at you. But no, like, yeah, there was a lot of times where, and like, I know I'm a bigger guy, but whatever. But like when it comes with food, it's like the only 2 times we really don't want you to eat is like really right before dinner. Don't try to get something to eat, or right before bed. Just if it's you want a snack after dinner, whatever, no big deal. Well, I guess he took that as a challenge. I mean, because he all of a sudden would start sneaking food, and then his blood sugars are on high, and then we'd be pumping him full of insulin, trying to figure out what's going on. And then the wife or I would go into his bedroom to clean his room, and under his bed is all these snack wrappers and all these chip wrappers and all this other crap. And it's like, we got to a point for a while there where we just like literally didn't have any of that stuff. Like, we're like, well, I guess if your blood sugar's low, you get to drink some orange juice. So you don't get to have the stuff because it's there for you for a snack if you're hungry or if you're low to help your blood sugar stabilize. But now we can't have that stuff because you just try to eat it all at once. And it's like, it was rough for a while. He got better for a while. Every once in a while, we still catch him with it. But for the most part, he's finally got to the point where he's not so bad with it.
Well, and I think now kind of a benefit to them aging a little bit is that they're able to be a little more responsible for their own care when it comes to managing their blood sugars and things of that nature. But just some of the advancements that I've seen in that type of care, just from my outsider perspective, is, when you guys were living in Montana, they had their pumps on the side of them and they had to be manually calibrated. So you had to physically go up and do the math. And now everything's an app on your phone.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, the youngest Cooper right now, he's got the Dexcom and it's called an Omnipod. So the Omnipod is basically his pump now. So it goes in every 3 days like it does, but you fill the insulin in this little thing. It's a little circle about yay big, goes in, and then his Dexcom is what tells us what his blood sugar is. And then he's got his own little phone. And so it all connects. And then so the Dexcom will tell the phone what his blood sugar is. And then we go in from his blood sugar, then what he eats, and then we put that all in, and it calculates everything based on the numbers that we put in from his doctor saying, okay, he gets this many units of insulin per this many carbs of food. And if his blood sugar's, too high, it'll, give him more insulin to bring his insulin down or his blood sugar down. If his blood sugar is too low, it'll decrease the insulin amount given to make sure he doesn't go too low. And then it all goes in, you put it in, you push a button, and then it delivers the insulin.
It's just crazy the advancements that they've had.
Yeah. Did you? I can't remember where I read this, but did I see that they're trying to develop a synthetic pancreas?
Yes,
like a 3D printed or something, and then
I think it's in Italy or France. They're working on it, but
wow,
that was from when I read about it. That was I think 5 or 6 years ago. So I mean, it's still probably 15, 20 years before even like human trials or anything. So
they're crazy because that would cure the disease, I guess, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we could hope. That's definitely something that we want. I mean, I'm not the parent, but obviously I care about those 3 boys a whole lot. So Kelsy, you have 3 boys that are diabetic, but your oldest is not. Has that caused a strain on him due to the increased medical attention for the other 3 boys?
I wouldn't say it would have been more the medical attention, but it did when he was a little younger because like just the attention in general we had to pay to the other ones. Mm-hmm. Having to pay attention to the blood sugars and everything. And he, so we tried to do things with just him for him to be like, just be like, hey, just because I have to deal with your brothers and their medical conditions doesn't mean that I've forgotten about you. Like, and that's one thing I always want him to know is that, like, granted, we've got all this other stuff going on with the 3 diabetics, but like, don't forget that you're still my kid and I'm here for you. But now he's to the point now he's 16, got his driver's license, got friends. He's off doing his own thing like 90% of the time anyway.
And one thing that I really enjoy about your 2 middle boys is they are like 2 of the most active kids I've ever met. So between football and baseball and all kinds of other activities, they are out doing something all the time. Is it difficult to manage them being a diabetic and playing sports? Because I know strenuous exercise can impact their blood sugars and things of that nature too. So, when they're on the football field doing 2-a-days, what does a day look like for them?
So like we'll just talk about my oldest one with it. If last year he was a freshman in high school, decided he was going to play football and in marching band. So I think for his summer vacation, which here in Michigan is usually about 3 months, I think he had like 16 days off for summer vacation because he was at the school either doing football or marching band. There was days during the week where he was gone from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. Between he'd go like 9 to 5 for football and then 6 to 9 or the 5 to 9 marching band, like 5 days a week. It was like a full-time job for him. So what we would do is like he's got his backpack with all the stuff in it, his testers and snacks and stuff, and then juice if he needed it, but he'd have his water with him. So he would go and like the coaches and the medical staff for football were really good with it. You know, if they had any questions, they'd get a hold of us. They have we just now got a certified like RN or something like that that is with the school. So she was always there. And then for marching band, there was a nurse there as well that was always there. And some of the moms were always there during the marching band stuff. And they were always keeping track. And like there was, I mean, my wife would get, I don't know, 35, 40 texts a day while he was doing his thing about, you know, he's at this, what do we do? He's at this, you know, what do we do? So it was really cool, like how people, even though they didn't know, they wanted to help.
Mm-hmm.
So it relieved a lot of stress off my wife because my oldest sometimes isn't the most, my oldest with diabetes isn't the most responsible all the time, which I mean, he's a teenager. It happens. I mean, I know I wasn't responsible at 15.
Me neither.
You know,
yeah.
Let alone having to worry about having a medical condition that, if not taken care of, could kill you. Like, like if I had that, I'm sure I'd have been dead 20 years ago because I'd have been like, whatever. But so it was kind of tough on my wife for a while because, you know, she's super nervous about that stuff, especially what happened with Gavin when he got really sick with the whole school situation. But now with Gavin, I mean, I was coaching his football team the last 2 years. So, well, no, I didn't coach 2 years ago. I coached Dominic's, but, you know, I was always at the football practices. So I was at most of the games. You know, if I wasn't at the games, my wife was at the games. And so what we do is, you know, after every quarter, we'd have him check his sugar, you know, see what he's at. If he's, you know, too high, we give him a little bit of medicine because you don't want to give him too much because so it doesn't work the same for everybody, but with my kids, like if at first, if they when they don't have their pump on, they're doing all the exercise running around, their blood sugars will spike and then they'll plummet. So like Gavin, there's times at football practice, he'd be like 380. He's like, "Do I need medicine?" I'm like, "No, you're fine." He's like, "Dad, but I'm high." I said, "I understand." I said, "After practice, you're going to go down to like 60." And sure enough, he'd drop down to 60 and we'd end up having to give him a snack and juice and everything. And I'm like, "See, I mean, if I gave you medicine, you could have just passed out on the field." Like, so it's a fine balance you have to do. And it's tough, but I mean, I guess somebody's got to do it.
Well, I think your boys are probably very appreciative, whether they show you as teenagers or not. That one day they'll be very appreciative.
I said they do not show me now. I tell you that.
So I kind of wanted to move on here. You had a son after a large gap of time. How old was Gavin when Cooper was born?
9.
9. And I mean, that's not a massive gap. I feel like it's a pretty big gap. What kind of changed? What decision was it to have another kid? Was it your wife wanting to shoot for a girl? Because you got 4 boys. Yeah. Were you guys shooting for a girl?
Well, see that for a while there we were trying, but then like I will just say this: we didn't like try to have another kid, but we weren't like preventing it either.
No.
So, but no, there was just I mean, she ended up having quite a few miscarriages between. So, Cooper is the rainbow baby.
I I have 5 older siblings, and my closest one is 7 or 8 years apart or away from me. So I was like, I had all the older people, and I was like the super youngest. Like I was a baby, and they were all like 10 or something.
So it's funny because you and Kelsy have kind of parallel stories, because Kelsy is the youngest of all, also, and you're the youngest of how many, Kelsy?
11.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
And your oldest sibling is like 30 years older than you? 40, 30?
Well, here, let's see. My dad,
Some crazy number.
So my dad would have been 90. So she just turned 70. So she's 32 years older than me.
So your dad is 90?
He would have been, yeah.
I see. Okay, gotcha.
So I think that's a pretty interesting perspective too, because for a while in America, I would say the family size kind of dropped for a while, where it was 2, 3 kids. Even now, I think, me having 4 kids and you having 4 kids, Kelsy, I would consider that a larger family for today's day and age. But growing up with 11 siblings, what was that like? And one thing we like to ask is, what's some good wisdom that your dad shared with you growing up? So talk to us about what it was like to grow up with 11 siblings, and what your dad kind of passed on to you.
Well, I will say parties were never dull because there was so many of us. Like, I'm the last of 11, and I think there's only 1 or 2 siblings that have less than 3 kids. So, I mean, it's just crazy how many family members that we have. And I remember for a while, the town I grew up in, like my whole family grew up in. So for a while, I was really cautious about dating anyone, because I'm like, are you my cousin? Like,
are you my sister?
I don't want this to be some Alabama stuff. So, because there was some cousins and stuff that I didn't know I had for the longest time. But I mean, it was just crazy because, even though there was 11 of us, by the time I got around to doing anything, being 8, 9, it was just me and my dad and my mom at the house, because everybody was so much older than me. Because the next oldest in line for me is 11 years older than me. So, I mean, he was off in the military when I turned 6. So, I mean, I was basically an only child, even though being the last of 11. So,
really weird. Kyle.
Yeah. But I don't know, my dad was always just kind of like, he took everything like with a grain of salt. Like, he always was like, there's no sense to be worried about anything, because worrying will never help anything. So don't try to, be upset or worried about what's happening. Just go through it and get it done. So, and that's kind of like what I have right now. Like, my wife would be like, well, how are we going to do this? And how are we going to do this? And I'm like, we'll figure it out. I mean, there's no sense fretting over it, getting worried, upset about it, because doing that stuff is either A, going to not help, or B, you're going to make a wrong decision. Mm-hmm. So just let's see where the chips fall and then go from there. And I don't know. I'm still alive and kicking at 38, so can't be all wrong.
Sounds like you're doing something right. You got some kids with medical conditions that are still alive. So, and I was worried about like my kid who doesn't have diabetes being like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that thing alive. I don't know if I have what it takes. And it was easy compared to what you went through. So,
and I tell you what, like, I'm deathly afraid of needles, like absolutely afraid of needles. And for the longest time, there was for a while there, I was like, I got to do this. I have to do this. I'd have to like pump myself up and psych myself up to give my kid a shot, because it's like, I don't want to be the reason that he gets sick because I'm too much of a chicken shit and, can't give him his insulin. So, I mean, you get a needle around me, for me, I'm still scared shitless, but
I thought you said eagles. I thought you said I'm afraid of eagles. I was like,
That
really?
too. That too.
You have a fear of eagles? Like, I swear I heard eagles, and then you were like, oh yeah, we're getting poked by a needle. I'm like, oh, okay.
I heard that too, Kevin.
Eagles?
I didn't know where he was
I was
going
like,
with
I think
that.
Troy's afraid of sharks, right? You're afraid of sharks.
No, sharks are my favorite animal, man.
well-
I want to go swim with sharks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're nuts.
Lightning.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah.
I knew somebody who was afraid of whales. That's what it
Oh,
was.
that's weird.
They were afraid of whales. And I was like, we are like landlocked. There's no ocean. Whales are not going to come on
Canyon
shore.
Ferry. There's fucking whales in Canyon
there's a
Ferry.
whale in there.
It's like Nessie.
Nice.
It's Wessie.
Wessie.
Well, Kelsy, I sincerely appreciate you being vulnerable, and I think it's important that conversations and real stories about parents and people that are diabetic be out there to. I think everybody's aware, but maybe not to the extent that there's real people out there that deal with these conditions on an hourly basis, and it's not easy. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Gave me a new respect. I would have never known, the amount of time and energy that goes into.
And when you talk about like medical, how advanced we are now. I mean, people used to be in iron lungs for their whole lives, and there's only like one guy left that is. And then they did away with that, like I could picture that being like, remember when we had to check your blood sugar and stuff? Now we don't have to do that anymore, 50 years down the road. So,
yeah. And just in the shit, what's it been now, Kels? 10 years? Are we creeping on
12 years?
12 years? In the 12 years that I've known him, like the advancements in care for the boys has just come leaps and bounds. He said, I was just out to Michigan this last summer, and like seeing the technology that they have now, it's just incredible. And hopefully funding continues to go into that type of research to make those lives easier. And that'd be awesome if we got a artificial pancreas that solves this problem altogether,
Yep. I mean, that's what we're shooting for. I always follow the JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund. They talk about stuff and they post updates and everything all the time about it. So just hoping one day that they find something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, actually, we'll throw the link up on the screen and then we'll put it down in the description too. And I'm sure they accept donations too, right? If anybody wants to donate to, say it one more time, JDRF, right?
It's the JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to donate, we'll put that information in the description of this. Something I'm passionate about because obviously I have nephews. You're not my real brother, but we've been brothers for 12 years.
I'm another mother.
Yeah, kind of like us.
I think it would be weird if I didn't bring up that my dad has type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's actually in the hospital right now. He's in the hospital like every week for various
Your dad's in the hospital and
conditions.
you're filming a podcast?
Yeah, it's yeah, it makes me look bad, but the update that my mom gave us was, "Oh, he's fine. He'll be home tonight. He'll be home today. It's fine. He has pneumonia.
Oh, okay.
It's not diabetes related, but yeah, he gets like the ankle swelling. He has to wear the socks. He has to he's on metformin and all that and stuff like that. So yeah, and he's been doing that forever. And he's kind of like, I don't know how he does it. Like, I don't know how he has lived this long, just because like I've seen the guy like, well, I guess I'll have 2 donuts. I'll just take 2 pills later. Like that's my dad for you. But I don't know. He's 70 something and he's had it for 20, 30 years now. So yeah, he's kind of used to it, I guess. Like he knows his body, I guess. But yeah, that's. I think I'd get a call if like, hey, you didn't bring up my diabetes.
Troy, don't you have a cute story about little Cooper when you went back to Michigan this summer with his diabetes?
I do have a cute story about little cute. I was gonna say Cooper. I was trying to mix cute and Cooper. But yeah, this last summer I went back. Kelsy was kind enough to buy me a plane ticket to go back to Michigan because for his birthday present he had tickets to Kevin Hart. he was supposed to go with his wife originally, but his wife ended up being in a wedding, so she wasn't able to go. So I was his +1 for the Kevin Hart concert. Great fucking show too.
Can I just say one thing? That
Sure.
was an expensive birthday.
Yeah, for you, I'm sure it was. We went to a baseball game. We went to Kevin Hart. Went to Culver's. Culver's is my fucking favorite.
Flew you to Michigan. Like,
Yeah.
Got to treat yourself.
Yeah. So when I was there, Cooper had to have a new site put in. And Cooper is very particular about who is with him during site put in. Usually it's Yaya, which is Elijah. That's their oldest boy. Or Mom, right? Those are the two, Kels?
Yeah, it was. Now it's Gavin. That's what he calls it. That's how he says his name. Now it's Gavin, and sometimes me when Gavin's in bed or preoccupied, then I'm the leftovers. So
you're number 2. You're the dookie.
Yep. Always.
So Yaya was there. Everybody was there, but Cooper wanted Uncle Troy to hold his hand when his sight went in. And so sight is like this, when they put the sight in, it's like this plastic bubble that's transparent and it has the needle in it and it like shoots it into them. I don't think it's like spring loaded that shoots it in, right, Kelsey? And if I'm saying anything wrong.
So what it is, it's got a spot and you pinch both sides together and then it shoots it down and in. So the needle.
But he only wanted Uncle Troy to hold his hand.
Oh, I have a lot of nieces and nephews, like an incredible amount, probably like 20. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any of them would let me do anything. I think they would just be like, "Get out of here, you stupid."
And Gavin let me put a sight in this time. This is the first time that I ever have put a sight in. Wow. I've done blood sugar and I've adjusted, but I had never put a sight in because I was always afraid to do the needle. Because like if you do it and you like even adjust it a little bit, it'll bend the needle and then it's no good. Then you have to redo it. So that was the first time. And Gavin, he's my little homie. Let me put it in. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
That they trust me to shoot them with needles.
Yeah, I don't think my nieces and nephews trust me for anything.
What was that, Kelsey? Sorry.
It's amazing anybody trusts. I was going to say, it's amazing that anybody trusts you to do anything like that.
He's got the shakes.
I got the shakes. Give me a White Claw, stat.
Get this man a whiskey. Bite down on this wallet.
No, it was good. And I mean, I didn't bend the needle. I don't think the sight was fine.
You're probably you would be okay as like a Civil War medic. Just take a shot of whiskey so you can
splash it on there.
Saw some legs off.
No,
I can picture it.
Well, oh, sorry. It looked like you were going to say something there.
Yeah, I want to talk about the time that we first met.
Okay, let's talk about it.
All right.
I want to know what you saw from your perspective because I know what I saw and it hurt.
Mm-hmm. So
I want to know what you saw.
Yeah, sure. So when Kelsy and I met, we were both working in a facility that cared for individuals with developmental disabilities and co-occurring mental illnesses. And most of them were criminally charged or civilly, what's the word I'm looking for?
Committed.
Committed. Thank you. Yep. Committed. And so Kelsy and I both worked there. And the first time there's like an all staff page to like go assist, right? Or you would call another unit and you would ask for help if one of the clients was being aggressive or you didn't have enough staff to contain what was happening. So we got a call. My unit got a call. My unit was 6, and Kelsy was at the time in unit 1. So we got a call. They needed assistance, and typically when they would call the units with like the dudes because there was males and females, but they'd want the like stronger, more athletic dudes because oftentimes it ended in like a physical restraint, and you know having a bunch of guys roll into your unit oftentimes will prevent any escalating behaviors. So rolled into Kelsey's unit, and I think at the time you had the client in a restraint, if I'm not mistaken. And
yes, we did.
The client was being extremely aggressive, trying to kick, hit, bite, do whatever he can. So it ended up on the ground. But typically that's not where you want to restrain somebody, because you can cause positional asphyxiation and things like that. So we tend to let the clients go as soon as the restraint ended on the ground. Well, as that happened, we got the call for the restraint chair, and I think at that time you stood up as we were getting ready for the restraint chair, and Kelsey banged his head off the corner of a fire extinguisher box. A steel a fire extinguisher box.
Fuck.
Like to where you could hear it like ting. I might put in a sound effect here, but like ting. Oof. And poor guy was seeing stars. And that's the first time that I met Kelsey.
Were you bleeding?
No, I wasn't, but I was full on like I had like CTE. I was like, it was bad. Like my head hurt for like 3 days. And I had this big old goose egg on the back of my head.
I wrecked my head on a stop sign once, and it bled. Like it was bleeding out of the back of my head. And I was just like, I'm fine. But then I wasn't. I was like, I don't feel good.
Head wounds are the worst, man. They'll bleed and bleed and bleed forever. But yeah, that was my introduction to Kelsey. And then after that, I went over to his house and played, what was it, EverQuest? Neverwinter. And played that for a full day. I was convinced his wife hated me. But yeah, we've been friends ever since.
Then we became best friends.
A love story for the ages.
Yes.
I love it.
Then he tried to fight me one night.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are you gonna throw that beef on the internet?
I mean, it was funny.
Talk your shit.
All right. So we went out. So what we do every once in a while is we worked second shift. So we'd be done at like 10 o'clock. So we'd get done with work. We'd go out to the bar and had karaoke, whatever. We'd have a heyday. Well, this day we decided to pregame hard.
Bad choice.
Yeah, because I got that honey jack for my 30th birthday. And we decided we were going to sip on that. And then we were slamming Bud Lights. And then we're like, let's go to the bar and let's do some karaoke. End up doing karaoke. And I don't remember exactly what happened. But all I know is we were yelling and screaming at each other at the bar. And then the bartender, who was also one of our best friends, kicked us out. And we were yelling at each other outside the bar. And then he went home and I went home. And then like 30 minutes later, this white thing comes walking up my driveway. I'm trying to like, what the hell is that? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's Troy in a white Under Armour hoodie, wanting to fight me in my driveway. And I'm like, I'm not going to fight you. He's like, no, we're going to fight. Da, da, da. And mind you, he lived on the other side of town. So it was probably, what would you say, Troy? 3/4 of a mile away?
Yeah, give or take some. Yeah, it was a hearty walk, and it was cool outside. I can tell you that.
So like he had like probably 30, 40 minutes to think about this and was dead set on it was going to happen. And he gets to my house and he's, we're going to fight. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to fight you. And he's like, we're not going to fight. And I'm like, well, take your hoodie off. And he's like, why? And I said, because I'm not going to get blood all over your hoodie. You're like, we're not going to have that because I'm not going to have to pay $80 for an Under Armour hoodie because you decided to try to fight me when we're both drunk. And he was like, I'm not taking my hoodie off, blah, 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 blah. Well, then it ended up with him eating a bowl of macaroni and cheese and he was happy.
That's all you needed.
Yeah.
When you said I got a little white thing coming out my driveway, I was like, was Troy this shirtless? Was he just like his white skin?
Tarps off, boys. We're going.
Were you hangry?
You were just hangry, yeah.
Yeah,
hangry.
Yeah, his sister-in-law actually brought out the macaroni and cheese for me.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Little pepper on it. Yeah, that's how I eat macaroni and cheese.
You just need a Snickers, man. You were like you were like a walking Snickers ad.
I was that night, man. Yeah, we were drunk. Yeah, and like you said, one of our good friends kicked us out of the bar.
Wow,
like good friends.
He like was screaming at us. Like I remember that vividly. Like him yelling at us.
I'm glad you do because I don't remember shit.
He was like, you guys are best friends. Stop fucking fighting. Get out of my bar. And he just yelling at us.
What were you guys fighting about?
I fucking don't remember. Do you?
I have no idea. You just came up at me all mad and in my face, and I'm like,
okay, you cannot blame this all on me. I don't even know. I came to your house. I'll 100% take credit for that. I walked my ass across town to come fight you at your house. But I don't know what we were fighting about originally.
Probably like who's gonna buy each other the next round or something like.
It was obviously
after you,
something dumb.
No, I'll do it.
Yeah, it was obviously something dumb.
It was so important that we can't remember. So
yeah. Here we are, probably 10 years later, talking about it. Kelsy loves telling that story that I walked across fucking town to come fight him, and he gave me macaroni and cheese, and it calmed my ass down.
You know what? I'll be there in an hour.
I mean, it's better than when I shaved my head for the Halloween costume party that didn't even win.
Dude, so that Halloween, he shaved his head. We made like fake bling, and he went as Fat Joe.
Oh, okay.
And I dyed my hair blonde and went as Eminem. It was not a good look for either of us.
No, but some dude with a mask won.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I mean,
so mad.
We could literally do a full episode of stories from Boulder. It's a very interesting town.
We'll have to save it for the next one that.
Yeah, we'll bring you on and we'll talk strictly about stories from Boulder.
That's gonna be like a 3-hour episode.
We'll have to break it up in parts. Part 1, part 2, and
the saga of Boulder.
Yeah,
Boulder saga.
I like it. That means I get to come back a few times. I'm about it.
Well, of course you're gonna come.
We only
back.
know so many dads, so we have to rotate. We got to get all of them on at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start putting out ads.
Yeah.
Do you have a dad bod? Do you have kids?
Do you like pina coladas?
Is your name Terry?
Ads for dads.
Yeah.
Ads for dads.
Ads for dads. I like it. Well, awesome, Kelsy. We really appreciate you taking the time to stop by our podcast and chat with us and be as vulnerable as you have been with your day-to-day life. I think it's important to get those messages out and tell those stories. And obviously, I care about my nephews, so it was good to talk about them for a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was real good. I like talking about it. Like, I don't mind it because like the more people know, the better off everything will be. Like, I don't expect people to know everything about type 1 diabetes, but I mean, a little bit. That way, if my son needs it, you're there. You have, even though it's limited, you'll have some knowledge on. Oh, I need to do this, or you know what I mean, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I learned stuff. I mean, there was stuff I didn't know.
I don't think you were prepared for this episode, were you? Because usually we talk about funny stuff, but like then I hit like I don't know if you were watching Kevin, but kind of watching his face like while you were talking and nodding like. Really?
I was just like, that's interesting. Like and I'm always seeking new things to learn too. So I'm always like, really? I didn't know that about like, that medical. I'm always just like, oh yeah, it's got one of the beats.
Yeah.
He's got the Earl Brimley or the
Walter something diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes.
Walter Brimley.
Walter Brimley.
In all fairness, I didn't plan to do the whole full episode like this, but it just kind of worked out really well. Like, like I said, Kelsy, there's no outline. We just fucking go, bud.
Well, hey, you fucking go, and here we are.
Walter Brimley.
Walter Brimley. Wilford Brimley.
Wilford.
Is it Wilford? It's Wilford Brimley. That's it. Because
Google it.
My dad grew out his mustache. It looked just like Wilford Brimley. And I would be like, Dad, say diabetes. And he'd be like, diabetes. It's definitely Wilford Brimley.
We're getting fact checked.
Yeah.
It is. It's Wilford Brimley.
All right.
I don't know why I said Earl Brimley. I don't know who that is.
I said Walter.
I thought it was Walter too.
Wilford Brimley.
It was W something.
I have diabetes.
Wow. He only died a couple years ago. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he had a good run.
Well, hey, I got a joke for us.
All right,
this one's a little bit dirty.
I like dirty jokes.
All right. What did Kermit say to Miss Piggy when they were getting down to business?
Something porkin'?
Rub it. Oh, Kermie. God.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Kelsy, anything you want to promote while you're on the show?
You got a SoundCloud?
Do you want me to put your Twitter on the screen?
I don't care.
Okay.
I got like 8 followers, so yeah.
Hey.
Well, it's better than Kevin's Russian porn bots.
I got 2 the other day. I got 2. They have 3 pictures, no, like 89, like 8,000 followers.
Does it disappoint you that a porn bot does better in views than you do?
Yes. Kinda. I was like, well, maybe
I
should.
get them on Twitter. I get them on Instagram.
Yeah. I start posting my hoo-haws. See what I get.
Maybe we should start an OnlyFans.
We've been talking about it for years.
We have. Kelsy, you in on an OnlyFans? Every dad that's on the podcast.
We need a drop dad calendar. We need like a calendar. We need like a fire truck we can wash.
Oh my God, I am so down. Can we do the calendar? I am so down for that.
I think I know somebody with a fire truck. I mean, granted, you guys have to come to Michigan, but I know somebody with a fire truck.
We got to make sure it's during the right time of the year. I know Michigan's super cold.
Can you imagine in December just have take the picture.
My bucket's frozen. My sponge is frozen.
To Quamanon Falls.
Well, right on. I'll throw your social information underneath your shit, Kelsy. And thanks again for taking the time out. If you haven't followed us yet or subscribed, make sure you follow, subscribe. All the shit's going to be up in the screen. I do it somewhere. It's around us. And then make sure you go back to last episode and like that episode because Kevin's trying to get me to go camping. And unless that video gets 1,000 likes, I'm not going.
That's 2 episodes ago, babe.
2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago.
It was the one with John.
That's right. So make sure you go back 2 episodes ago and like that episode.
The one about mental health. It's called Mental Health and
Movies and Mental Health.
And Camping. Now camping.
All right, I gotta go like that real quick.
Can you make like 18 accounts and go like it with each one?
Just get the Russian porn bots to like it.
Ulrikia, if you're out there.
My kids have YouTube accounts. I'm sure I'll just go on theirs.
Beautiful.
That's 1,000. That was my number. Be thankful I didn't make it 1,000,000.
We have till June.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the Drop Dad podcast. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.